Hi, and welcome to Best in Tesla. Today we're going to talk about how it is living with an electronic vehicle, because I still meet a lot of people that has a lot of wrong assumptions about electric vehicle. Don't think that I can go to the south of Europe in an electric vehicle. Think there's a lot of drawbacks and compromises you have to do, and it's so much more inconvenient with an electric vehicle compared to a gasoline car. But I actually think it's the other way around. I think it's so much more convenient with an electric vehicle. I, for one, is never switching back to gasoline car, but it depends on your situation and where you live. So let me explain why. So first of all, I really meet a lot of people. Every time we talk about electric vehicle, it is what's the range, how long does it take to charge, and you can go to Paris or something like that. But in Europe, I can go wherever I want to. There are charging points everywhere. There are like 150,000 charging points in Europe. And in comparison, is that a lot? There are 77,000 gasoline stations in Europe. So there's actually twice as many charging points that there are gasoline stations. I know there are more pumps, gasoline pumps combined, than charging points right now, but there's still a lot of charging points, 150,000. You can go into a better route planner, Tesla's own website, or ServPlug or whatever, and you can check out how many charging points are in the country you live in. Because I had some friends who went to Italy and came home and said, oh well, it's not a good place for Tesla because there's no charging points anywhere. Like, what? And I went in online and saw there was over 3,500 charging points in Italy alone. But if you don't live with an electronic vehicle, don't have the apps or go into the home pages where you can find all these charging points, you really don't see them in your everyday driving. But they're all out there, and they are charging everywhere. But you also got to remember, it's an electric vehicle. You can pretty much charge it anywhere there are electricity. The Tesla comes with an adapter in the car where you can just pretty much plug it into a 220 volt outlet, and you're good to go. So if you go up in the cabin, if you have a cabin in the mountain, as long as it has electricity, it can actually charge up there. That's something a gasoline car can do. Like when you go to malls and stuff, you can actually charge there. Many hotels has got chargers. If you book a hotel room with them, you have free charging. We were down in Germany on holiday, and we went to a mall there, and they had free parking and free charging for electric vehicles. So yeah, they're just popping up everywhere. So if you want to go to Paris, you can easily find on PlugServe or Better Route Planner hotels that has destination charges. So you can just go for those guys. So it's getting better and better. But you gotta remember, pretty much everywhere you go to the mall, you go to a hotel, you go to other cities, you can park, and there's probably parking spaces where you can charge your car. So there's charging everywhere. Everywhere where there's electricity, you can pretty much charge your car. So there's no place in Europe that I can't go. The grid is already good enough to go wherever you want. And you can just plug it into the navigation system in your Tesla as well. You can just plug in Paris, and it will show you, of course, the way, but it also show you when to stop, how long to stop, what to charge for, what you're gonna arrive with charge back in the battery and stuff like that. So you can, range anxiety really doesn't exist in a Tesla as long as you plug in to the navigation system where you're going. Tesla will take care of the rest. They will make sure you get to your destination with the charge you need. You can also go online to a Better Route Planner and plan it so the road trip is going to be exactly like you want it. Because for me, if I would go to Paris, I would do it the same way if I went in a gasoline car or an electric vehicle. Because I drink water. I drive for 2 hours, and I want to make a stop because I drink water and coffee. You know, I can't go for 2 hours without drinking some water. Not healthy. So I drink water. I drink some coffee. Every 2 hours, I have to make a stop, and usually that stop is about 15 minutes. I have to go to the bathroom. I go in to buy some more drinks, order a cup of coffee and stuff like that, and get back to the car and go on. So with an electric vehicle, I would do the same thing in 15 minutes at a supercharger. You can pretty much get like 50% up from if you're down at 10 or 15 or 20%, you can get pretty much 50%, almost 50% up. So you can go 2 hours, charge for 15 minutes, 2 hours, charge for 15 minutes, 2 hours, charge for 15 minutes. And I would do that in my gasoline car as well. I would go for 2 hours, make a bathroom break, probably about 10 to 15 minutes. Then I will go another 2 hours. Then I'm probably going to fill in some gas and then do the bathroom stop. So that stop will probably be even longer than my electric vehicle, because I just park the car, stick it in, and go in and do my stuff and come back out, and it's ready to go. You don't have to stand there for a couple of minutes and fill up your car. It does that while you're doing all the other stops. So if you want to go on a long road trips in Europe, and I think so also in the US, because of all the Tesla chargers that's there, you can go wherever you want. You can do it in the manner you like it. So if you don't like the way the Tesla navigation does it, if you think it's charging too long because it takes too far of a drive, you can go in on Better Route Planner and plan it very specific how you want it to be. And where an electric vehicle really shines is that if you live in a house, as I do, you can get a charger set up at home and you charge overnight. So that's pretty much 95 or even 98% of all the driving we do in a year. We would just charge here at our house, so we don't have to go anywhere. We pretty much don't use any of the big charging infrastructure that is in Denmark right now, because we just charge at home, and we live in Denmark. It's a pretty small country, so we can pretty much go anywhere in Denmark and don't have to charge until when we get back home, and we just plug it in and it's ready to go the next day. So that's one of the things that my wife really thinks is one of the best things of owning an electric vehicle. She doesn't have to go to the gasoline station anymore. Before, she had to go once or twice a week on her commute to work. She would go off route, go to the gas station, fill up, come back to the route in rush hour, and that's just a pain in the butt, you know. And she doesn't have to do that anymore. Now she just wakes up and the car is ready to go. So owning an electric vehicle feels much more like owning a smartphone. You plug it in overnight, the next day it's ready to go, you use it all day, and when you come home you plug it in again. It would be very inconvenient if you had to take this smartphone and go to a shop somewhere to charge it every time you have to charge it. And that's kind of how a gasoline car suddenly feels. Like you have to go somewhere to fill up your car? Well, that's really inconvenient. Why don't you just plug it in at home? Oh, you need a gas station. Okay, great. So that's really why I think one of the best thing about owning an electric vehicle is it's just ready to go every single day. Like 95% of all the driving we do in our life, it's just ready every morning to go. We don't have to go to any charging station or gas station anymore. It is just ready to go. And it's also very cheap here in Denmark anyway. I think most places electricity is pretty much half price of gasoline. But here in Denmark we have someone called Clever and Eon energy companies where you can get a subscription, and we have a subscription for 570 Danish crowns, about 80 bucks, 80 US dollars a month, and then you can pretty much drive as much as you want to. So that's pretty cool. Before we were more close to like $300, 2,000 Danish crowns a month for gasoline, and then we had to get service, because that's another very convenient thing about electronic vehicles. There's pretty much no maintenance on them. You have with a Tesla 4 years of guarantee, no service check needed, or 8 years on the battery. So you can just go there. There's no change of oil or anything you have to do. You can just drive for 4 years and then, yeah, the guarantee is over. But you don't have to spend a lot of money on these service that is a really big deal before. we had like 2 services a year with all the driving we do. So it's quite a big deal for us not having to go to these service checks all the time as well. So we save a lot of money in our everyday commute. Tesla is a big purchase in the beginning, but compared to the other cars we own that have been 150,000 Danish crowns cheaper or something like that, it is over 5 years time they kind of get to the same price point. So if we have this Tesla for more than 5 years, it will be cheaper than the old cheaper gasoline cars we had. So you kind of have to take into calculation how cheap it is to own an electric vehicle compared to a gasoline car, and it just makes it so much more convenient. Even the brakes is gonna last very long because of the generated braking the Tesla has. So you pretty much don't use the brakes, so the brakes are probably gonna last as long as the car does. You have to use them once in a while to make sure they don't rust, and Tesla recommends that you go in once a year to get them checked, just because to check if they are rusting. So yeah, there's pretty much nothing you can fill in your car. Is the fluid for your window wipers. That's pretty much it. Else you're just free from all this service you have to do and maintenance you have to do on your gasoline car. So that's really convenient as well. So the only way I can think of that they are not as convenient as a gasoline car is if you live in a city where you don't have the ability to charge overnight. There's no parking with the plug-in, or you can't charge at work or something like that. You have to use your electric vehicle like a gasoline car. And as I said, it's more inconvenient. You have to go someplace to fill up every time. And when it's an electric vehicle, it takes longer time to fill up to 100%. You have to sit there for half an hour or something like that, compared to 5 minutes with your gasoline car. So then it is more inconvenient. But not living in a house where you can charge overnight, because that's really where electronic vehicles shines compared to gasoline car, and becomes so much more convenient. And of course, the navigation system can tell you where to charge, how long to charge, and how to get there. And when you get on the highway, the Tesla can pretty much drive itself on a long road trip. So I actually think the Tesla Model 3 is one of the best road trip cars I have ever tried. It pretty much drives 90% of the time. It just shows the way in the navigation system, tells me when to take a break and how long to take a break for it. You pretty much no thinking, just get in your car, let the car do the work for you. So all this combined, I think electronic vehicle is much more convenient, no maintenance, so easy to drive. You know, the Tesla where you have the generator braking, it's pretty much just one paddle you're using to drive the car, and then the steering wheel. So much easier. You can get a subscription, or it's much cheaper anyway to get electricity than gasoline. I don't know about the US, I think it's also cheaper over there, even though you have a really cheap gasoline over there. But in Denmark, for sure, much cheaper to own an electric vehicle to fill it up than a gasoline car. Yeah, and then just, you don't have to go anywhere to fill up. You fill up just outside, plug it in, and it takes a couple of seconds when you get out of the car, just plug, and you're good to go. So if you were thinking of getting an electronic vehicle right now, but hear all these myths and wrong news out there about how inconvenient it is, if you live in a house and are considering electric vehicle, go ahead and buy one. You will not regret it. And there's really no range anxiety anymore, especially not with Tesla, because if you just punch in where you're going to the navigation system, you will never run out of juice. It will tell you. And as I said, is there electricity in the area you're going? You can pretty much fill up the car anywhere. So don't hold back. Go buy your electric vehicle. It's really already good enough. The range is good enough as well. I think charging speed is more the way to go than getting more range, because I have like 400 to 500 kilometers of range in my Tesla Model 3 long range, and that's more than I need. I never really use it unless it's a long road trip. Of course, if you can get a little more, that's great, but the speed of charging is much more the thing that really matters. So we can get closer to how it is with a gasoline car. You can fill it up in 5 minutes. But I think we're going to get there at some point. Right now, if you look 10 years back and see what the charging speed was 10 years ago compared to today, where we have the version 3 250 or ionized 350 kilowatt hour per charging. That's really fast. If we look 10 years ahead, well, that's just going to be like clear, and your car is ready to go. So I would rather have a faster charging on a road trip than a longer range battery, because as I said, I'm only driving 2 hours at a time. I don't need 1,000 kilometers range battery. I just need a faster charging. Well, not really, but if something should be more range or faster charging, I would go with definitely faster charging. But yeah, the electronic charging net is already good enough as it is. They're charging everywhere. The car has the range they need to, and they're just so much more convenient, so nice to drive. They're so quiet, they're so easy to drive. There's no maintenance. You wake up every morning and the car is just ready to go. And of course, it's nice for the environment. And as we do, we charge overnight. We can set a timer in the car and charges at 2 o'clock at night, because there's pretty much no demand for electricity at that point. So in Denmark, all the energy at night is pretty much produced by our windmills. So we wake up every morning knowing that it's pretty much renewable energy that has been filling up our car. That's really nice to know as well. So if you're in the market for an electronic vehicle, go ahead, buy it. All the technology is here already. It's just going to get better and better over time, and if you buy a Tesla, it will update itself over time as well. We just got the version 10 looking really awesome, and we're going to go I'm going to go show you some of the autopilot function that really blew my mind the other day. So stick around for that. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on that upcoming video to see some really cool stuff. And before I go, I just want to make a big shout out to Paul D. Payne, my first ever Patreon. Thank you so much, Paul. It means a lot to me. And if you want to join Paul over at Patreon, you can go to patreon.com/bestInTESLA, and for as little as $1 a month, support this show. So help us make this channel grow. So thank you if you're considering. Thank you for subscribing. I'm Paul. Thank you so much for becoming a Patreon. Hope you enjoyed this video. Thank you so much for watching it. And until next time, take care out there and be nice.